Good evening to you all, and thank you for joining us here on Rwanda Television News tonight. Our hope is that you had yourselves a productive Tuesday. Now here's a sneak peek of our edition. President Paul Kagame has urged youth to set clear goals and strive to find solutions to various challenges instead of turning back from them. In Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe, has signed the AU Convention on Ending Violence Against Women and Girls, making Rwanda the 9th signatory country. We are glad to have your company coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. My name is Martina Abera. Now let us begin by informing you that President Paul Kagame has urged youth to set clear goals and strive to find solutions to various challenges instead of turning back from them. He reiterated this during an interactive Meet the President session with participants of the 16th cohort of Itorero Indangamirwa. We have more coming from Adams Kwizera.
More than 700 young people participating in the 16th cohort of Itorero Indangamirwa held an open interactive session with President Paul Kagame. Among the questions raised were those related to governance and the role of young people and the role young people should play in the country's development journey. President Kagame noted that there is no magic in finding solutions, emphasizing that this requires clear goals and vision for how those challenges can be addressed.
There's no magic. You have to have a clear mind. You have to focus. You have to have discipline. You have to understand the problem and find a solution.
The participants also asked the questions about the history of the liberation struggle. President Kagame told them that one of the key lessons to that is to learn to confront the challenges and seek solutions, rather than turning their backs on them.
There are two kinds of people, always, anywhere, anytime. When there is a serious problem, like the country faced, there are people who are going to not even give it a shot. They will just cut and run and give up because something is difficult or it affects them in a certain way. So they may run away and go somewhere else. That's one group of people. The other will stand and fight and give it a try. They wouldn't. So there are many, the situation is like that. I just happened to be on that side where I wasn't, like many others, I wasn't going to run away. Run away to where? To do what?
Your Excellency.
The questions raised by participants of this 16th cohort of Itorero Indangamirwa also included those related to geopolitics. In his response, President Kagame reminded them that they too have a role to play in promoting security and safety of their country.
Mobilizing you to be part of this and from here to be part of national building is about trying to secure Rwanda. Rwanda should be safe, and will be safe because of you, depending on how you come out and fulfill your obligations, how you build yourselves, how you fulfill those obligations to your country. surely Rwanda will be safe, and safe in the context of the global situation.
President Paul Kagame further reminded the youth that they are the country's hope for development and that the responsibility for shaping Rwanda's future rests with them. He particularly asked them to stay away from drugs and anything else that could prevent them from achieving their goals. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
Not moving far from that, the young people attending the 16th edition of Itorero Indangamirwa say the time they have spent in the civic training has deepened their understanding of Rwanda's true history and reminded them of the values that define a true Rwandan. They also say the training has strengthened their commitment to safeguarding and promoting Rwanda wherever they go.
This is my 4th time coming, and honestly, every summer I've been here, there's something new. Downtown is just getting bigger and bigger, and I feel like we're also just, the tourism is becoming a large population, which is so good for the country, and the fact that I'm hearing Rwanda in America, and even my own friends and my colleagues and my professors asking me like, oh, like how is it, like I'd love to visit the national parks and etc. So when I hear Rwanda, I hear home, and I hear all good things and how we're going to become, you know, even better than how we are now. I think for me, having a military background, my grandpa, he was in the military, and my cousin also came here, so them every Sunday motivating me to continue as I tell them like, oh, like I'm so tired, like this is so hard, I feel drained, and them just saying like, remember who you are, like you're here for a reason, like keep going. We got this, you know, just encouraging, and also my colleagues, like all of us encouraging each other to continue and push over, because of course it's not what we do every single day, but you know, it's an experience of a lifetime, and I'm just very honored to experience. Is hearing how much we fought as a country and seeing the outcome from back in the day to now, and seeing how much we've improved, and like I said before, how much like every single time I come back to Rwanda, I just see so much new improvement, how there's a mall that's going to be here like that it wasn't here last year, you know. So it's those things that show that like if we really like continue being one and continue to follow into our footsteps and our leaders' footsteps, like we could really, you know, transform Rwanda and continue to, you know, overpower everything that we think is a struggle, or, you know, like to get success. I think a responsibility and something that I've also learned here is to be patient. A couple interviews back, or not interviews, but halls back, we were talking about how, you know, the first step to success is the hardest step. And I think for me, taking this step was one of the hardest steps because it's so out of my comfort zone and it's so out of my normal routine. But now, like, once I leave here, like, I've adapted to so much and I've learned so much that I will continue using in my life. But patience and charisma and just keep, you know, going when you think that things get hard. Like, you don't just shut down and stop, because at least for me, like, it took a while for me to continue, and, you know, even when I'm tired, I keep going. But this place has truly taught me how to continue fighting and take that another step into my success for my life. For me, being a Rwandan is like a dream come true. I'm so glad that I am a Rwandan, and I'm so glad that I'm here to understand and really breathe in all this culture, because for someone that doesn't live here, you know, I didn't have all of that. Like, back in America, like, I didn't have all of that. So coming here and fully, you know, taking in all the traditions and the culture that I've missed in my younger years, it's made me feel so much more connected to my country.
Coming here, I've realized how big it is and how important it is to adapt to changes, uncomfortable changes, to become more disciplined as a person. And being here, I've had different changes where it's not really normal for me back where I'm from. The thing that I think was very important for me was becoming more disciplined here, and I think being here has allowed me to become a lot more disciplined as I've had to adapt to changes that I would presume. I've learned a lot about Rwanda and how Rwanda is on the come up and how it's changed so much as a country from before the genocide till during the genocide and after the genocide, and how much Rwanda has developed, and I found it very interesting learning that. I'm going to stay respectful and I'm going to stay disciplined as I've learned the discipline here. I'm going to be very patient with situations that I need to be patient in, and I'm going to try and continue staying positive all the way out through life, because it being in this Itorero in Dangamrigwa, there's been a lot of situations where something not positive could be happening, but I would have to stay positive to just get through the way, and that's one thing that I want to take out of here as well. With cybersecurity, there's loads of different cyber attacks or different types of harm to the technological world out there. So when it comes to cybersecurity, I would like to be the one to stop, or to keep the internet secure, to keep things said online secure, to keep information secure. I think I would also be able to do that for Rwanda indeed.
Moving ahead, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe, has signed the AU Convention on Ending Violence Against Women and Girls, making Rwanda the 9th signatory country. The convention provides a comprehensive continental legal framework to prevent and respond to all forms of violence against women and girls. Rwanda supports the convention as it aligns with Rwanda's vision and national gender policy. Agricultural experts say increasing crop yields per hectare requires coordinated efforts from all stakeholders, with particular emphasis on expanding access to fertilizers, bringing them closer to farmers, and providing training on their proper use. And our Gladys with more.
The marshland in Nyaruguru district, southern province, farmers cultivating maize and potatoes say they often achieve high yields when weather conditions are favorable and agricultural inputs are delivered on time. The farmers are that limited irrigation infrastructure and inadequate access to farm inputs can significantly reduce their harvests. Farmers and agricultural input dealers agree that improved seeds and fertilizers are the foundation of good agricultural productivity. The challenges preventing farmers from increasing productivity were also highlighted in the report of the Auditor General of State of Finances, including delays in the implementation of irrigation projects. During his meeting with local government leaders in Gako, Bugesera district, President Paul Kagame questioned why crop productivity had not increased in some areas and called on the responsible institutions to intensify efforts to boost agricultural production.
Agronomists who have achieved outstanding yields should be rewarded so that they serve as an example to others. I would particularly like to commend those from the southern province, especially those who managed to harvest 29 tons of potatoes per hectare. They have done an excellent job. The rest of us should strive to achieve the same results. At the same time, those who have already reached such high productivity should not become complacent. Sometimes people are praised for good performance, but later their yields decline significantly, dropping to as low as 3 tons. You must maintain high productivity consistently so that others can look to you as role models and be inspired to improve their own performance.
The
Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources, Dr. Telesphore Ndabamenye, says the government is implementing several measures aimed at increasing crop yields per hectare.
We have introduced a program focused on agricultural consolidation and designated farming zones. The areas we have identified so far cover about 600,000 hectares across the country. This will help us coordinate efforts and strengthen interventions aimed at increasing productivity per hectare. We will also integrate this with the technology I mentioned, address the challenges posed by the climate change, and connect farmers with markets so that they can generate income, and improve their livelihoods.
tubihuze no guhuza abahinzi n'amasoko kugira ngo babashe kubona amafaranga ajya mu mifuka.
Agriculture expert Professor Ejid Karuranga says increasing yields per hectare is achievable, but it requires close collaboration among all stakeholders.
Starting with the seeds we plant, we should be able to produce them locally or import high-quality certified seeds from abroad. We can then support farmers by organizing them to plant in a coordinated manner and train them on proper fertilizer application. I am among those who believe that combining different types of fertilizers is what can significantly increase productivity. However, for fertilizer blending to work, we must first ask ourselves whether the required inputs are actually available. At the moment, we have mainly introduced industrial fertilizers, but they are not always sufficiently available. In reality, you cannot rely on industrial fertilizers alone without incorporating organic manure. We should also support farmers in harvesting, storage, and pest control so that they produce can meet standards required for export markets. At this stage, it is important for all stakeholders involved in these activities to be brought together and work collectively in order to achieve higher agricultural productivity.
According to figures from the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda, crop yields per hectare improved for several crops during Season A of 2026. Banana yields increased from 11.6 to 11.9 tons per hectare. Potato yields arose from 8.7 to 8.9 tons per hectare. Rice yields remained unchanged at 4.1 tons per hectare, while maize yields also remained stable at 2 tons per hectare.
Non-governmental organizations providing legal aid are calling on the government to fast-track the adoption of a new mediation law in order to provide a clear framework for helping citizens resolve disputes without having to go through courts. We have more.
Stakeholders in the justice sector, including government institutions and private actors, say that alternative dispute resolution policy, which was introduced 4 years ago, has already produced positive results, including reducing case backlogs and congestion in correctional facilities. However, despite the progress made, the executive director of the Legal Aid Forum, Andrew Kananga, says there are still areas that need improvement, including speeding up the adoption of the law governing mediation.
It is, however, a reminder that successful implementation cannot be achieved by any single institution acting alone. Justice is a shared responsibility. The Ministry of Justice, the judiciary, prosecution, and investigative agencies, collectional services, and legal aid service providers, development partners, professionals, and communities each have an indispensable role to play. Our collective success will depend not only on what each institution does individually, but also on how effective we work together across institutional boundaries.
The 2024-2025 report by the National Commission for Human Rights shows that congestion in correctional facilities decreased from 134.3% in 2023-2024 to 110% in 2024-2025. The Deputy Chief Justice, Alphonse Hitiyaremye, says Rwanda will continue strengthening this policy in partnership with different stakeholders to ensure faster delivery of justice.
Alternative dispute resolution and restorative justice are no longer merely policy aspirations. They are practical and effective mechanisms for improving access to justice, reducing cases backlogs, strengthening reconciliation, and enhancing public confidence in our justice system. As we move forward, we remain committed to strengthening our contribution, honestly identifying areas that require improvement, and working even more closely with all stakeholders. Together, we will ensure that these policies continue to deliver tangible and lasting improvements in access to justice, judicial efficiency, public trust, and the rule of law for all.
Over the past 4 years, more than 11,000 cases have been resolved through settlements reached between parties with the support of courts. Meanwhile, in the past 44 months, More than 36,000 cases have been concluded through plea bargaining, where accused persons admit guilt and agree on appropriate sentences. In addition, over the past 10 months, 1,858 cases have been resolved through agreements between offenders and victims. Enora Gladys, RwandaTV News.
A total of 24 children who had separated themselves from armed groups, including the FDLR, have been discharged from the Mutobo Rehabilitation Center in Musanze district after completing a 9-month program designed to prepare them for reintegration into normal life. Enora Gladys has more.
Among the 24 children discharged, 2 have not yet been reunited with their families. They will continue receiving support from the National Commission for the Demobilization and Reintegration of Ex-Combatants until their families are located. The group that completed the reintegration program included 23 boys and 1 girl. One of the children, who spoke on behalf of the others, explained how they had been used by the FDLR armed group and expressed appreciation for the way they were welcomed back in Rwanda. They also shared their commitment to rebuilding their lives. The chairperson of the Rwanda Demobilization and Reintegration Commission, Valerie Nyirahabineza, thanked the children for having the courage to leave armed groups and encouraged them to love their country, avoid drug abuse, and uphold positive values.
We
thank these children who are gathered here today for showing courage in breaking free from the chains of the FDLR and other affiliated armed groups. You made the decision to return home and accepted the process of being trained to separate yourselves from the past experiences you went through. Today, you are no longer referred to as children from armed groups. You are now called resilient children. I would like to tell you that today marks the beginning of a new life. Avoid anything that could make you go backward. Continue demonstrating the discipline you have shown here and continue embracing the values you have learned, especially loving your country. Stay away from drugs, respect your parents, and allow them to continue guiding you with good values. Also help your country by encouraging others, both young and old, who are still in armed groups to return home, so that together we can contribute to building our nation under the leadership of the President of the Republic. So far, 1,097 children have been reunited with their families. Among them, 1,049 are boys and 48 are girls.
And on that note, we've come to the end of tonight's English Bulletin. On behalf of the news production team and the technical team, thank you for sticking with us on RTV News. And until next time, stay safe. Have a good night.